Well, it is 11:30. Hopefully they shut that door in a minute, but there might be some stragglers. I'm gonna get started. Today's presentation, we're gonna talk about how to optimize your Google business profile, how to help you rank higher and double your business on Google. This is a really good presentation for those that own or operate a local business, whether that is a brick and mortar business or a service-based business like a mobile groomer, or maybe you're a mobile trainer. If you do services or have a service within a local geographic area, this is a really good presentation for you. I love talking about the Google Business Profile because I think it is a super powerful tool that you guys all have. It's totally free, and a lot of times it gets a little bit overlooked as well. So I'm going to jump into this. I always like to start with an agenda. That way we're organized. We can talk about, you're going to know exactly what's going to happen in the next hour or so. So we're going to talk about what the Google Business Profile is, why it's important. We're going to talk about how local rankings are determined. We're also going to talk about how to edit your Google Business Profile. And then meat and potatoes is going to be how to optimize it. I've got some tips and tricks and tactics that I think are super helpful for local businesses. And then measuring success. Everybody, when it comes to marketing, they want ROI, and then we're going to wrap up. A couple things about this presentation. I'm going to offer a QR code at the very end. That's going to give you access to download the slides for free. I have some business cards up here at the front too. If at any point you guys have questions, please just raise your hand. Everybody starts somewhere. I don't think your question is stupid, and it can probably help the other people in the room. So I'm happy to answer it. And then if you want to chat privately afterward or at booth 4804, that's where you can find me. Very brief history about me, my entire life in a quick slide. So this is how I got started in the pet industry, pretty much. I used to work at a local indie retailer when I was like 15 and ended up working for an agency. Long story short, ended up starting my own agency. They were my first client. That was about 7 years ago. These are some of my pets. That's Kodo, that's Callie. They're both rescues. This is a picture of me, like literally when I was a teenager. That's my golden retriever, Nikki, on top of a stack of dry food in the retailer that I worked at. She was not super impressed with that, but you know, these are things we do with dogs sometimes. I run Pet Engine Marketing. We're a digital marketing agency for pet businesses. We focus on things like SEO, local SEO, but we also do things like social media, email, design, reporting, strategy, things like that. I'm also a co-founder of the Pet Industry Network. That is a collective of business-to-business service providers. They're vetted, reliable experts that have a specialty in the pet industry specifically. And actually, we have a really cool pop-up at the Astro booth at 1:30 today. Might be worth checking out. Okay, enough about me. Let's jump right into this. What is the Google Business Profile? Google Business Profile is a free tool that allows you to take charge of how your business appears on Google. And by that, I mean Google Search and Google Maps. It recently rebranded within the last couple of years from Google My Business to the Google Business Profile. There's definitely been some ongoing updates to it over time. We're going to cover all of that today. Almost every single business, especially local businesses, have a Google Business Profile. The issue is most of them, or many of them, are not using it as well as they should or as well as they could. So this is what your Google Business Profile does. It takes a bunch of critical information and it spreads it around onto Google's assets. So we're talking name, address, phone number. It allows you to communicate with customers. It can send out updates to those customers about your business. You can put your products on there. You can list your services. You can take orders, or you can take bookings. You can update photos, and then you can also broadcast some of the events that are happening at your business. So incredibly powerful and often overlooked. So your Google Business Profile takes all of this info and then puts it out to searchers, right? But I have this kind of crazy concept that I'm going to share with you today. Your Google Business Profile is essentially your new homepage. And the reason for that is all of the information that a searcher might want to find is actually right on this Google Business Profile. And by that I mean, let's say they want to call you. There's the number. Let's say they want to visit the store. Click to get directions. They want to see how well you treat customers. Your reviews are right there. So for years, we've been told that your homepage was super important because it was the first impression that customers got of your business. But this is now your first impression almost all the time. Why is any of this important beyond all of that? Well, there are two simple facts that I want to share with you about Google. It maintains about 93% of all search engine traffic and is the primary map app for 77% of internet users. Drill that down into the fact that Google is really dominating the search engine market when it comes to helping people find what they're looking for. Almost half of total searches are for local searches, right? So Google does tend to bring up local businesses whenever they can. That's great for local businesses, right? Unless you don't rank in the map pack, then it's tough sledding, because that first result is taking in 28% of the clicks out of all of the possible results on a Google search. 75% of users won't look past the first page of results. So I think most people would agree being first is nice, right? It feels good, usually pays well, gets you a bunch of attention. So we got to figure out how to rank highly. How do we get to first? Here's this little feedback loop that we want to go for, right? An optimized, activated Google Business Profile means that you get better visibility in search and maps, you get more customers, and you get more reviews and engagement. And more customers is going to get you more revenue. This is some real client data that we have from last year. So some of the key metrics that we track are things like this: searches, views, directions, things like that. Super important for a local business. These are these trend lines, essentially. And then also some real client data from last year. So this is taken from the point of sale system. Number of tickets, these are your individual transactions. And then revenue, right? Everyone knows what revenue is. These are in-store sales, so nothing online, no e-commerce or anything like that. So we essentially have the same trend line, right? Like if you're going to perform really highly on Google Business Profile, you're going to see this 9 times out of 10 in your bottom line metrics, right? So there are real results here, real money on the line for local businesses. And here's how the cycle works, right? Essentially, if you get more visibility, you should get more customers. And if you get more customers, you should be getting more engagement and more reviews. And that should help you get more visibility, and so on. We have this awesome little feedback loop here. So how do we improve in visibility? How do we rank higher? The thing is, as more pet business owners understand the value of SEO and local SEO, it gets more and more competitive. So let's dig into how local rankings and visibility are determined on Google. Here's how local rankings are determined, right? These are some of your top factors here. How do we know where to dedicate your efforts? Well, we're going to focus on the top 4 today. Number 1, you're looking at the Google Business Profile. No surprise that Google's going to weigh its own software higher than other things. However, it doesn't mean it's the only factor here. There's a lot that goes into this. We've got on-page optimization, which is essentially search engine optimization or a subsect of it. We'll talk about that later as well. Then we've got reviews, got a big section on reviews. And we've got links. We've got a bunch of info on links as well. One thing that's worth noting here is that these factors do change over time. Marketing definitely tends to keep you on your toes. And the information that we're going over today might not be relevant in 6 months. Part of marketing is like staying up to date with the tools and staying up to date with what's going on in the marketing world today. So, how do we edit your Google Business Profile? Super simple. You can go to business.google.com and log in. Or if you're already logged in, you can actually just search My Business in Google and it should come up. So you click on that, it'll look like this. Hit Edit Profile and it'll redirect you to a box like this. And voila, easy peasy, you start editing your Google Business Profile. Super straightforward, right? All right, let's talk about optimizing it. So we're going to spend a bunch of time on this. There are thought to be 15 individual factors that influence your rankings. And these are weighted from most influential at the top to least influential at the bottom. Now we could go through these one by one, but I feel like that would be super slow and boring. So I've broken them down into 2 categories. We've got the easy categories, and then we've got the WTASM categories, which I've labeled as worth talking about some more. So we're going to start with the easy ones. Those are a breeze. 4 of our top 5 factors are what I would consider easy, and actually 2 of them we can't really do anything about, which is even easier. So if you have a single takeaway from this talk today, I would like it to be this. So pay attention to this part. Your primary Google Business Profile category is the most heavily weighted element when it comes to local SEO. Super, super important, and it's also really easy to adjust. So The other thing that I see about this is that there are a lot of mistakes that pet businesses make on this. One, this is a somewhat new feature that got rolled out within the last couple of years. So if you have an older business and you've never touched your Google Business profile, it's possible that it got assigned to your profile and it could be wrong. One of the common mistakes I see is that a pet supplies store will be listed as a pet store. Google thinks that a pet store is selling live animals like puppies, whereas a pet supply store is just a retailer. All of you guys know that those are very different types of businesses with very different audiences. And if you're a pet retailer and you don't sell live animals and people are trying to find you, but they're looking for pet supplies and you're listed as a pet store, you're not even going to show up for searches like dog food near me. That can crush your business, right? So keep that in mind. If we want to update this, it's really straightforward. So we just hit edit profile. There's a business category section, second field from the top, and then we're going to set the ones that we want. As you can see, there's a bunch of different ones for pet businesses specifically. The primary one is going to be the most important, but your additional ones are kind of important as well, ranked at number 5. The primary one is where I would say like the majority of your business come from. So if you have a brick and mortar location that does retail and grooming, I would say that you're primarily retail most of the time, and I would list you as a pet supply store rather than a pet groomer unless you are just a pet groomer. Okay, 2 down, 13 to go. So proximity of address to the point of search, physical address in the city of search, and then proper placement of the map pin. So your physical address and the proximity of the address to the point of search. Essentially, this is how close the person searching is to your business. Chances are if you have a brick and mortar business, your business is not going anywhere physically, right? It is stuck there. It is staying in one spot. So long as you're not changing your business location frequently, you really just set this one time and then you're good to go. Put the address there and move on. As far as the proximity of the searcher, you can't move people around either. As long as they're close, if they're a block away, you're more likely to show up rather than if they were 10 miles away. Google's going to try and give the easiest answer to the person searching. That's essentially how Google's going to work. They want to make sure that their response, their result is relevant. For those of you that have home-based businesses or that maybe you provide services on site, so I'm talking about like a mobile groomer, or maybe you're a trainer that travels to people's houses, whatever it is, you don't have a brick and mortar business, you want to use this slider that says show business address to customers. Now you can set that to the left essentially and it will hide your business address. From there, you want to update your service areas. So I recommend putting in like actually all of the neighborhoods that you would do service in or do business in. So instead of like, let's say you're in Chicago, instead of just putting Chicago, obviously as you can see that they're going to give you a bunch of examples here, but I would take this one step further, right? So listing out individual neighborhoods that you do business in or that fit into your service area, I think is definitely a best practice here. You can fill in up to 20, and I would fill in up to 20. So selecting these service areas based on demographics or based on pure population, or maybe it's based on customers that you already have in that area, these are some strategies that I would use to select those service areas. If your service area is wider, you could always add like the whole state of Illinois. I would also add like specific counties that you do maybe some of your best business in or areas that you want to do more business in, as well as some of the big cities that are in those counties, following along that same logic. So you might have like Illinois, as well as Chicago, Cook County, Peoria County, City of Peoria, City of Springfield, things like that. Essentially, you want to make sure that your bases are covered from a location standpoint, and you're not limiting your search area to, say, maybe just one part of inner city Chicago if you're going to do business in greater Chicago or suburbia. Okay, just like that, we got 4 out of the top 5 done. We're actually over halfway done with the easy individual ranking factors, so let's knock out the rest of these. Number 7 is a completed Google Business Profile. So Google is going to provide you with indicators on what to do and how to fill it out. So as long as you follow these instructions, or at least put in some placeholders, we can go over more of those details in the tips and tricks part of this presentation. You can also, as of, I think within the last 6 months, you can add your social links to your Google Business Profile, and that would fall under completing your profile as well. So just making sure that you have something in there is actually going to benefit you rather than not having anything in there at all. Pretty straightforward. Verified Google Business Profile. So this actually used to be way more important, but it's not quite as important now. However, that's only from a ranking standpoint. It is super important, I would say, simply from a management standpoint and from a business standpoint. Reason for that is if you don't verify and claim your Google Business Profile, then pretty much anybody can make edits to this business profile. As long as you claim and manage it, then nobody can make big edits. They can suggest edits, but you'd be able to approve them. There are also various ways to verify your business. There's this field on your Google Business Profile, right, that allows you to verify, and it'll walk you through it, right? Sometimes it's as easy as like they'll send you a postcard or they'll give you a phone call or a text. However, I've seen them like make you jump through hoops, and you have to provide a video that's like, here's my street sign, here's my store sign, and then I have to walk in my store, show the key that I used, and show them a piece of mail that's addressed to my business at this location. So Google is super serious about kind of cracking down on fake locations and fake Google Business Profiles because it's so valuable, because it can drive a bunch of business. So they really want a real verified business on these platforms. Okay, last easy factor. We are cruising right along. What are spam listings? So these are basically duplicates, right? So sometimes your business, especially if you haven't claimed it, gets listed twice. If you end up claiming both of those business listings, you can merge them. However, there's also some issues with like synonym stuffing or unofficial name adjustments. So what does that mean? Google's gonna let you know if you have a duplicate location. Like I said, you can request access to that and you can either merge or delete that location. Here's an example of synonym stuffing. This is a really big no-no. So here is like, literally found this on the internet. It's an SEO agency in Vancouver. Name is SEO Vancouver, search engine optimization, SEO consultant, dispensary SEO, social media marketing SEO. Can you tell that they do SEO or marketing? But that's not the name of their business, right? That's cheating. It's not their actual business name. You should also definitely avoid this. If you were to apply this to a pet business, you would say something like Best Pet Supply store in Las Vegas, Nevada. All of these things you sell. Here's some emojis as well. Stay away from emojis. Stay away from something subjective like best. I would say at best, like this is going to get you shadowed or flagged or banned. Like they will shut down your Google Business Profile, and this is generally a big no-no. However, there's definitely some wiggle room in adjusting the name that we're going to go over later. Okay, all done with the easy ones. Let's talk about the WATASM factors. All right, so keywords in the Google Business Profile business title. So I know I was just talking about this 30 seconds ago. Like, what about these name changes? What makes it okay, right? Like I said, I think it can be a little bit muddy, and there are some examples that work so long as they help people identify the type of business that you're running. So here's a couple examples. So let's say you've got a pet store, or maybe it's a grooming salon or trainer or whatever. It's called Wags to Whiskers. I think you can realistically change this to Wags to Whiskers Pet Supplies. I think something like Wag and Tails Grooming could also be Wag and Tails Mobile Pet Grooming. I also think the Pup House could be something like the Pup House Dog Boarding. Pay attention to the specific words that we're using here, right? We've got pet supplies, we've got pet grooming, and then we've got dog boarding. So these are some of your primary category options that are available in the Google Business Profile. That's going to help you out. It's going to help you when it comes to visibility for searches like this. It's also going to help users understand what exactly they're going to get at a place like this. And that's why I think these are okay. Every single name change on business is reviewed by a human. So it can backfire, and you may need additional verification because of it. But most of the time, these get approved pretty quickly. I would also recommend them simply because they help you convert and they help you from a visibility standpoint. Like I said, it can be a little bit muddy, but I would go for it. All right, let's talk about reviews. So we've got 3 factors here for reviews, right? We've got 6 high numerical ratings. We've got 9, which is the keywords in native Google reviews. And then we have 12, which is the quantity of native Google reviews with text, right? So reviews are listed in 3 ranking factors, obviously super important. Your reputation is incredibly important, right? I think it's one of the most important influences for purchasing decisions or that influences people to visit your business at all. So beyond helping you rank higher or helping you like improve your visibility, It's important that you have good reviews just so that you can convert some of that visibility to people. Reviews are, I think, one of another thing that I see businesses overlook a lot. And it's not that they're not getting reviews. Sometimes they're not responding to these reviews either. So talk about more of that in a little while now. So your high numerical rating is always going to be important, right? Your number of reviews, super important too. One tip here is that what I've found is reviews coming in consistently is more important than a bunch of reviews coming in all in like a flood or a waterfall. And by that I mean, like, let's say you want 50 reviews over 5 months, you'd be averaging 10 a month. I think that's going to do better for you rather than getting 50 reviews all in 1 month and then no reviews for the next 4. Reason for that is Google wants to make sure that like your business profile is something that is active and that you're engaged on it, especially if you're responding to these reviews over time. They want to make sure that you're using this product that they put out for you rather than kind of neglecting it. The other thing I would say is that if you get a bunch of reviews all at once, sometimes that can get flagged for possibly unethical review capturing, whereas like maybe you're paying people for reviews or something like that, which you definitely shouldn't do. Okay, check out this example. So I searched for best dog groomer in Las Vegas, and we have 3 businesses come up, right? We've got Warm Springs Grooming, and then we've got Urban Style Dog, and then we have Posh Palace. Warm Springs Grooming is showing up first, even though it's got the fewest reviews, it's got the lowest rating. What's going on here, right? It's got 63 reviews compared to 71, and what does that say, 189? And it's also got a 4.6 compared to 4.7 and 4.8. What's going on here, right? Well, I think there's some other factors that are being taken into consideration. So there's proximity, so maybe this place is simply closer, Warm Springs Grooming. And then the other thing that sticks out to me is the completeness of the listing. So look at what Warm Springs Grooming has available to searchers. They've got this schedule button, they've got this website button, and then they've got directions. That's because they've filled out the information and completed their listing to provide this information for searchers. Urban Style Dog, no website, no schedule. Posh Palace, no schedule button. Google wants to give like the easiest option to searchers possible. And if you're looking to book this groomer, all you'd have to do is hit this schedule button. That's like one click, one action. Google's really trying to make this simple. So completeness of listing, super duper important. Google also probably influences position based on completeness. This is a stat directly taken from Google that they'll feed you as you're creating or editing your Google business profile, right? 70% of customers are more likely to visit businesses with a complete business profile. They'll also say that 50% of customers are more likely to purchase from businesses with a complete business profile, right? Again, take this with a grain of salt. This is Google saying, hey, we've got this product for you, please use it. However, back to these search results, right? Still got some questions. Why is Urban Style Dog ranked higher than Posh Palace? Why are they second, not third? They have fewer reviews, they have a lower rating. Like, isn't all of this stuff sort of backwards? It's not following what we're saying up here. So I want to point out that I searched for best dog groomer, and in this specific review, you've got words like best groomer right there, whereas like this is my favorite, or I love this place, groomers are great. Keywords in native Google reviews are super duper important as well. So if you're looking for specifically the best dog groomer and a reviewer says this is the best dog groomer, that's going to help you rank a little bit higher. So that's what I mean by keywords in native Google reviews. It is difficult to influence how people are actually like writing these reviews for you, but not impossible. Ultimately, if you want to be the best dog groomer, I think you got to provide the best experience, and then they'll say that you're the best dog groomer in town. So that's part of it, and then there's also an opportunity to do some coaching in store. So things like that I think can be really helpful. However, as you can see, it's not always the number of reviews that matter most. It can be the quality or the kind of type of reviews too. Reviews with text are going to be more important than reviews without text. So there's more that you can do as well. I'm going to share in section 6, tips, tactics, and tricks on how to get reviews with text or reviews with text and photos. So, okay. Last part of the WTASM factors is the quality and authority of inbound links, your keywords in your Google Business Profile landing page title, and then the quality and authority of inbound links to the Google Business Profile landing page URL. There's a mouthful, right? a lot of this is basically just some standard SEO that we're going to dig into. We're going to first talk about like inbound links, and then we're going to go into what that means and how to apply them to the Google Business Profile landing page and then the URLs there. So remember this slide, right? These are like our main ranking factors. Number 2, we've got on-page optimization, and number 4, we've got links. So we already did number 1 and number 3, Google Business Profile and reviews. Let's cover these last 2. Essentially, we're not going to try to get too deep into the weeds here, but we're going to cover links first. So inbound links are essentially links from other websites to your website. A few main points here are that links from other sites to your website are not all created equal. So some of them have a little bit of more weight than others. The reason for that is that Google trusts other websites more than it trusts others. And Google's going to score those websites with 2 criteria, what they call domain authority and quality of links, basically. So the good news for local SEO businesses, for local businesses from a local SEO standpoint, is that you don't necessarily need a link on like Forbes or New York Times to make a big impact. I would actually say that for local SEO, you do have some pretty cool opportunities for link building, and the goal that you're trying to achieve here is to get unique links that your competitors do not have. So here's some examples that I really like. And the reason for this is like your domain and your authority, like the domain authority and the domain quality, they simply don't matter as much for a local business that's trying to show up in local search. Google just wants to know that you have like a local business that is trusted by your local community. And the way that you would do that is to get involved in the local community. So an example, sponsor a local meetup of a specific breed, right? Corgi Club of Chicago or something like that. Maybe they have a website, maybe they have like a meetup link, whatever it is. If you can sponsor that, whether you have like a dog park at your business, or maybe you're just maybe they start their walks outside your store, whatever it is, get a link on their website. Again, exclusivity and uniqueness of these links is super important here. Other local website businesses, so could be your neighbors, could be in the pet business, so maybe it's a local vet, maybe it's a groomer if you don't offer that, maybe it's a trainer if you don't offer that. I think anything that you engage with like a partnership or referral engagements, these are opportunities to build some local links. You've also got event sponsorships, so local 5K, a golf tournament, things like that. Again, go for unique, like sort of rinky-dink links, and these can really help you out a little bit. Local bloggers are also super, super important. So if you can get them to write about you, you might have to send them some free product, or maybe it's a coupon to get them in the store. Whatever it is, they're driving local traffic to their site, and that's not only going to help you from an SEO standpoint, but it's essentially a referral from this person saying, hey, I really liked this business, you should go check them out. Clubs, local orgs, churches, gyms, car clubs, kids sports teams, like Little League teams. I think these are all local link building opportunities that you can take advantage of. Neighborhood watch sites, super, super slept on. So I think if you can give a specific deal to like a group of residents that are right around your store, that's an opportunity not only to like get a link that benefits you, but also to drive local traffic into your business. Again, the biggest thing that you want to go for here are unique links that your competitors do not have. So there are going to be other businesses that might be pursuing local SEO, and if they're creating partnerships with all of these local organizations and you've got all links on the same pages or from the same businesses, they're simply not going to matter quite as much because they're kind of everywhere. So you're really looking for something that's unique, right? Okay, another really good way to build out some trust on your Google Business Profile are citations. So these are platforms like Google Business, Google Maps, Apple, TripAdvisor, Facebook, social platforms, Yelp, Foursquare, Eventbrite, things like that. Google likes these because they have a ton of users. They provide really consistent information, hopefully. They're not spam or bot sites. They tend to have pretty good SEO themselves, and listing your business on these platforms sends some positive signals to your Google Business Profile that help you say, okay, this is a real business. It's listed on all these other directories and platforms and businesses. So I know what you're thinking, right? Do I have to get listed here on all of these? Well, the key thing really is that you've got your NAP info, name, address, and phone number listed on these platforms. You don't necessarily need a whole lot more than that, so it can be fairly quick to set up listings like this. Or you can also work with some software providers. There are some specific to the pet industry that provide a software that manages all these listings for you. Not only that, they'll create them for you, and it'll make sure that you have consistency in your name, address, and phone number across all of these listings. So let's say you change your business for holiday hours, right? You're closed on Easter, which happens to be on a Monday, which you're normally open. Something like that. You would want to make sure that all of your other listings are saying that as well. And instead of you having to go into all 60 of these other platforms and directories and update your listing there, you can just work with one software company that will push that update out to every single one of these platforms. So there's definitely some cool opportunities and some cool companies in the pet industry that will do this for you. Otherwise, you kind of do have to do it yourself. The reason for this is that inconsistencies means that Google's wires are sort of being crossed. Consistency is what they're looking for, and it can definitely affect your rankings, especially in different areas, especially as you get a little bit further from your location. So like, here's a quick example. Number one, that's going to be essentially where you're located. You should be ranked first if you're standing right outside your door and people are looking for what you offer. But as you go a little bit further, you rank 8th, or you rank 7th, or you rank 3rd or 4th, right? Obviously, you're going to get a little bit more business if you rank 1 in all of these areas. There are definitely other factors, right? If there are competitors out there that offer the same kind of thing, you're probably not going to rank, and that's going to be very difficult. But let's say there aren't competitors, and you simply have some inconsistencies in your listing, and your online health score is not what it should be. This can really, it can hurt you out there, and you can be missing out on some business that might be simply a little bit further away from your front door. So we can actually run a scan on your citations and see what you're missing or see where your inconsistencies are. So if you're interested in something like that, give me a shout afterward, we can talk about it. Okay, number 11, keywords in the Google Business Profile landing page title. What does this even mean? Let's break it down. All right, so your keywords are generally, for the purpose of this, I would say let's use the Google Business Profile categories, right? So we've got pet supplies, dog grooming, pet boarding, trainer, pet store, things like that, right? Your Google Business Profile landing page is the link that you put into your Google Business Profile that directs people to your website. Normally, this is essentially just going to be on like your homepage. This stuff is how you get listed on Google. Now, you do not set this information on Google Business Profile. You set that on the back end of your website. Your website page title should be aligned with your primary category. So again, we've got like this example here, Wags to Whiskers Pet Supply Store, Ann Arbor, Michigan. They're a pet supply store. Having that in your page title might seem redundant, might seem like overly stupid simple. I promise you, Google is looking for stupid simple. So you're really not trying to overthink this and confuse it. Just try and align your page title with the category that you are that you're set at, your primary business category. Here's another example, right? Like we've got a professional pet grooming salon. Again, pretty clear that they're a grooming salon, and that's listed in their page title. And then last but not least, we've got another pet grooming daycare. So aligning these things, like your local SEO with your Google Business Profile, super duper important. Okay, we're actually done with the WCASM factors, and we did the easy ones, which means we've finished with optimizing our Google Business Profile. So 3 key takeaways here. We have to complete the Google Business Profile. We got to make sure it looks good, everything's filled out. We got to get good reviews, not just any reviews, but good reviews, right? Reviews with text, reviews that mean something. And then we want to try and align our Google Business Profile with our on-site SEO. So now I'm going to dig into some of the secret sauce, right? Which is like my favorite tips, tricks, and tactics for each of these 3 takeaways. So when it comes to completing your Google Business Profile, I would fill out your services. This is pretty much anything that you take money for, anything that you offer. I never add pricing to this because as your pricing changes, I don't want to go back into Google Business and update my pricing every time it changes by $1 or $2. I'm also really just utilizing this to generate conversions, right? And sometimes if I put pricing in this conversion, then I don't get that conversation and I can't possibly sell someone if they don't call and ask about it. So I would say use some keywords and use your locations in these descriptions. That's not necessarily going to help you from an SEO standpoint, but I think it can help you from a conversion standpoint. Like if you do have specific expertise in grooming a particular type of dog, or maybe it's nail grinding for cats or something like that, I would mention that, or at least try and sell yourself in the description of these services. Remember these groomers in Vegas? Online scheduling can give you an appointment link, right? And that's going to give fewer steps or hoops for customers to jump through. Again, make it super easy for them. Definitely want to enable messaging. So this is a somewhat newish feature too. It's also not enabled automatically. And I think a lot of you guys would probably agree, customers today, they don't want to call, man. They want to email. They would rather do everything online. So when you consider this from like a customer point of view, we've got these 3 groomers in Vegas, right? Let's say only one of them has messaging enabled. And you want to ask a question. Do you have anything available today? Or who are they going to reach out to first? Are they going to pick up the phone? Are they going to go to a website? Or are they going to hit this chat button and try and message and figure it out right there on the spot? Chances are they're going to hit that chat button and try and figure it out right away. So if you've got 3 doors there, give them that open door to walk through, enable messaging, make sure it's managed a little bit. Adding products, another way to complete your Google Business Profile. I don't think this is like a necessity, but I think it's good for customers, especially if they're looking for a specific type of product or a brand. And I know some of you guys are thinking if you've got a pet retail store, you've got like 30,000 products, right? I know, no one's gonna add 30,000 products individually. However, you can definitely create some categories, add some pictures or some brands, right? Like maybe you've got accessories, or maybe you've got foods, maybe you've got treats, things like that. There's also some integrations with Shopify, WooCommerce, and BigCommerce. This can auto-load your inventory. It's also good for Google Shopping ads if you want to do that. This takes pretty much all of the hassle out of it. Otherwise, I would just stick to the categories and maybe the brands and say, okay, this is what we've got. Post photos and videos regularly. So listings that update photos appear twice as reputable. So what does this look like? I would say anytime you guys put up a new display, something seasonal, add a photo, upload it. Staff members, interior, exterior updates, new products, things like that. I would also 100% do a walk-around video tour of your business and throw it up there. Videos are super underlooked on Google Business Profile. Like I think people don't even think to add that. They're just like, I'm gonna put it on social, but this can definitely benefit you from like a local search standpoint too. Here's just some examples of photos that might get updated. It's going to give you your visibility stats right there. And as you can see, as they get older and a little bit, they're on there for a little bit longer, they're going to increase in visibility as well. So as long as you continually add new photos, you're going to help feed this feedback cycle that we were mentioning earlier, right? Your business is going to appear active and engaged, and Google's going to reward you with a little bit more visibility. That should get you more customers. Stay active, right? Post regularly. I would recommend either blocking out time or using a software that can help you post and schedule this stuff. I would say minimum 2 posts per week. Try to aim for 3, 4, or 5, something like that. You get a bunch of different post types, right? You get offers, you get products, you get events, and you also get updates. Events, I think, again, super underlooked here. So people will actually search for like dog events near me. This is a search that gets a decent amount of search volume. If you happen to have a super cool event and you're not putting it on Google, you're not going to show up here. And you might be missing out on an opportunity for someone to just discover your business because they're looking for something to do with their pet or with their dog. And if you're not doing this, then they're going elsewhere, right? Like they're going to find whatever these events are and it's not going to be yours. All right, we're going to switch gears, talk about reviews a little bit. So your Google Business Profile is the most complete it's ever been. We can probably spend like 45 minutes talking about just reviews. We're not going to do that, but I would say your best chance of getting a review is face-to-face. Customers are 34 times more likely to leave a review if you ask them or make it easy for them face-to-face. As soon as they leave your store, I'm sorry, they're forgetting about you. They're getting on with their busy day. It's way more effective than email, so I would just take advantage of it. Now the issue is that we often make mistakes when it comes to asking for reviews, right? Sometimes it's in the wrong way or at the wrong time. This can make customers uncomfortable. So we want to identify the right time and the right way, the opportunities to get the review. So here are 4 great times to ask. After a customer has experienced success with a product or a service. Super duper important, right? Especially if they come back in again. If they've reordered that product, chances are they're pretty happy with it. You're generating some loyalty and some stickiness with your business. After they've referred somebody, also super important. They bring in a friend, they bring in a family member, chances are they like you, right? Let them talk about you a little bit. Number 4 gets overlooked a a lot. If you've got some super fans on your page, like I think a lot of people on Facebook, they have, you know, those customers that you have, they like every single thing that you put out there no matter what. If that customer hasn't left you a review, ask them to. I bet they'd be happy to. Asking for a review can sometimes make you sound desperate. So instead of like, hey, could you please leave us a review? Here's 4 different ways that you could try it. So would you mind taking some time to leave some feedback? We'd love it if you told other pet parents about this. Could I trouble you to leave us a review? It really takes only 30 seconds. How did we do today? Are you pretty happy with the amount of service that you got? Are you pretty happy with this product? How's it working for you? The other thing I would say is customers need to be shown or told how to do it. So if you're not comfortable guiding them or making it easy for them, then it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So let's make it super easy for them. I like to use QR codes quite a bit. So like if you guys literally scan this QR code right now, it links directly to my Google Business profile where you can leave me a review. If you ask them to do this, but then don't give them an opportunity to do this like right there in the store, again, I'm telling you, they're just gonna forget about it and they're gonna go home and it's not gonna get done. QR codes can really fix that. So I create like a leave a review form basically. So how do we make this QR code? We go to edit your business on Google Business Profile. You'll see this button that says ask for reviews. It's gonna give you this link. That is your review link. So let's turn this into a QR code. I like this website called QR Code Monkey, totally free. It also allows you to customize it a little bit. Like you can add some brand colors, you can add your logo, stuff like that. It can also, like you can create a QR code that goes to websites or even Wi-Fi or files or social media. Put it for your review. Now what? I like these little easels, right? Super cheap. You can get like 10 of these for a couple bucks. Put them at your register. Put them by some of your best-selling products and put a QR code and say, hey, if you love this, scan this, leave a review. These are super quick and easy, super cheap. I also like business cards. These are easy. You kind of stuff them into bags, you hand them out. Also really cheap, right? 500 for 50 bucks with a QR code usually works pretty well. Let's say you missed the chance to do it in person. I would say highlighting a review on social is definitely a good idea as well. You can use your link from your Google Business Profile, put that into the copy of the text. There's no point putting a QR code on the photo itself because most of the time people are going to be viewing it on mobile anyways. So just give them a link to click, and I've seen that generate some reviews as well, especially if you ask for it, right? If you're asking for it, chances are most people are going to be more likely to do it rather than if you were just highlight it. Automated emails. One of those few things where you can sometimes set it and forget it, right? I would set these up either after a purchase or after an appointment, maybe after daycare or pickup, things like that. Setting up like an automation like this is an absolute necessity for any kind of like scheduling software that you might have. So if you run a service-based business and it doesn't have automated follow-up emails, find a different software. Like you're wasting your time because you need to do this. Okay, incentives are like the single most effective way to get reviews fast. 73% of consumers say they'd be more motivated to leave a review if they were offered an incentive. So here are some incentives that I would recommend offering for retailers. I like monthly giveaways, like get entered into a raffle or something like that. I like discounts, I like free samples. I like a bounce back coupon, right? Cash back, like if you leave a review, you get this coupon for your next visit. I also like spin the wheels quite a bit. Super engaging, it's interactive. I think people love spinning the wheel. So you can also like incentivize reward points and stuff like that. But one quick thing here regarding like, let's say we do this monthly giveaway or a raffle. This is how I would structure it. Your reviews with photos are going to be worth more than your reviews with text. And then your reviews with text are going to be worth more than your reviews without text. So let's say you're running a raffle trying to generate some reviews. If you leave a review without text, you get 1 entry. If you leave a review with text, you get 2 entries. And if you leave a review with photos, you get 4 entries. I think most business owners know that if you have staff members, you have to incentivize properly in order to get what you want. So if you want reviews with photos, simply incentivize it properly for your consumers. Pretty straightforward. Here's an example of a business card that we've developed for one of our clients. It's also a bounce back coupon. I love stuff like this, right? Like you send it home with them. Since it's this coupon, they're not gonna like get rid of it right away because they probably want to use it next time. This also helps build some loyalty. You can get some first-time shoppers to become loyal shoppers. So stuff like this, you kind of get a 2-for-1. Who doesn't love a 2-for? Let's talk about responding to reviews. Apparently 53% of customers expect you to respond to negative reviews within 7 days. I would recommend you respond to every single review, negative, positive, or mediocre. Not only is it good for SEO, it shows that like you're engaged on Google's platform, but I think it's also great for customer service and conversion. If I'm looking at local businesses, I'm looking for recent reviews, and if I'm looking at recent reviews and I see a negative review and it has no response, versus maybe a response that either justifies their position or maybe it accepts blame, like that's the kind of business that I'm trying to go shop at, right? I'm not trying to shop at a business that doesn't care about a negative review, doesn't respond to it, doesn't try to fix it, right? I'm not even going to bother. I will literally shop elsewhere and I will not give that business a second thought. So definitely respond to your reviews. Okay, final takeaway. We got to align your Google business profile and your on-site SEO. So this is a huge topic here. Like we could totally fall down the rabbit hole, spend a few hours on here alone. I'm not going to do that. My idea here is just to give you some big picture stuff, go over some details. So we're going to start with the Google business profile categories, right? There are 4,000 to choose from. That's a ton. Luckily for us, there's like 11 just for pets. So these are some decent like primary keywords that you want to use on your, like essentially on your website for on-site SEO. However, where do we put them? Well, I would recommend that we put these on the back end of our website into things like local content, title, meta descriptions, headings, NEP info, right? That's name, address, phone number, and then your localized URL. This is not on the Google business profile, right? This is on the back end of your website. So let's talk a little bit about local content. Local content is super important. It's one of the most important things that helps you rank. This can be blogs, articles, resources on your website, or it could just be like the structure and the content that is going on your website. When it comes to blogging for local businesses, try and use local landmarks or events. Try and use local kind of language and colloquialisms. Mention the city or neighborhoods that you're in. Google's primary criteria that they're looking for content is this acronym EEAT. Stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. The reason for this is like a local blogger should be able to write about their neighborhood pretty reliably, right? Like you have experience, you have expertise, you should be authoritative and trustworthy because you're from that. You're from there. Here's like an example. Here's an example. So I actually wrote this in like 2019 I'm from Ann Arbor, Michigan, and there's just some language in here like parks around Ann Arbor, Gallup, it's actually technically called Gallup Park, Swift Run located specific, like here's the address. Language like this still helps out a ton. As long as it's localized, this is what Google's looking for. And the other thing is like you can mention highways, local parks, local landmarks, things that it's near. This kind of terminology definitely gets picked up on by Google and can help you rank significantly higher. So try to stick with localized content. It's also going to help you out too because you can generate some local backlinks as well if you're mentioning other local businesses in it. Okay, titles. So titles are like your most heavily weighted SEO element on the back end of the page. So I would say you got to utilize your keywords, so those primary business categories, if it relates to your page content. I would also recommend including location, city, and state. Here's an example. So we've got Pet Central Station, that's their website. This is their title on Google, and then this is their metadata as well, just beneath it. So their title, right, pet supply store, pet food, located in Lincoln, Nebraska. This is so simple, right? Like it's not fluffy, it's not trying to overcomplicate things. Simple is really what you want with SEO. Like there's no fluff, there's no jargon, just like clear and concise info. Be stupid simple, that's really what you're going for here. Your meta description is that little text beneath the title on the search engine results page. Think of this as like ad copy. Try to want to be compelling, engaging, while also telling people what kind of content is on this page. I would include your location keywords if it relates to it. And then the other thing I would say is don't duplicate your content. Or every page on your site should be a little bit different, which means your meta description should be different too. So writing something compelling that encourages people to explore this page, that's pretty important too. It can be a lot of work. It can be time consuming. But ultimately, like if this is what the web page is about, Google wants to know that, and Google's users want to know that too. So Here's Pet Central Station again. This is what they do. They're a pet shop. This is what they provide for these people. You can find frozen raw dog food there as well, and it goes on. This is great because it hits some certain categories. It's got key terms, and it's got locations in there as well. So pretty good SEO. Headings. Okay, your H1 heading is like the biggest text on the page. It's the second most important thing when it comes to SEO. You should only have one H1 heading per page. You want to break up your other content with subheadings beneath that. So like your H2, which would be the next biggest text on the page, your H3, your H4, going smaller and smaller as you go down. Using the same keywords and same location phrases, if possible, on here, it's going to help you out a lot as well. Reason for this is people tend to read information from biggest to smallest, left to right, top to bottom. It helps them kind of decipher the kind of content that's on the page. Helps them choose what they actually want to take in or read in more detail. Same kind of thing with Google. So when Google scans your website, it wants to know how your information is broken up, how that content is organized, and if it's confusing for users, it's going to be confusing for Google. And if it's confusing for Google, it's probably going to be confusing for users as well. Here's an example, right? Some of the biggest text on the page, local pet supply shop, Pet Central Station, like that's really all that they're going for here, right? If you're looking for a local pet supply shop, Pet Central Station is the one to do. Again, super simple, right? It's not cute, there's no fluffiness, there's no jargon, there's no puns, right? It's just clean and straightforward and pretty effective from an SEO standpoint. Here's your NAP info. NAP is that name, address, phone number, right? Having this displayed clearly on every single page is definitely a good idea as well. It can also be built into schema markup, which is like the back end, really back end of your website. But I also think like a local phone number makes a lot of sense too, and is also going to help you rank highly for Google. Putting it in the footer is not a bad idea. This ensures that it's on every single page, and it ensures that people can find it pretty easily. So definitely a good idea to do that too. Localized URLs. So adding a location to some of your URLs where it applies is not a bad idea. So an example of this would be like, let's say you've got specific deals for your pet supply store. You have current deals on that or specific sales in Ann Arbor specifically, and people are looking for deals on pet supplies in Ann Arbor, maybe you want to show up for a page that's described like that. So your URLs can be important as well. And then as you can see, we've got this listed in the title too, right? Local pet supplies, deals, sales, great deals, local pet supplies in the metadata as well. So I think the only thing that I would say is like a word of warning here is if you intend to optimize your site and change a bunch of your links around, be careful like where all of those links exist on some of your other pages because broken links on pages are things that Google doesn't like. So let's say you've got like a broad dog food page and it links out to your page that is local deals on dog food in Ann Arbor. If you change that link, you just have to make sure that you change it on the original page too. Okay, so SEO is fun because it does bring results. It's not always super fun to do. It can be kind of tedious and a slog. But truly, I feel like with SEO, the proof is in the pudding. And I know we've barely scratched the surface, but how do we find that? How do we find that pudding, right? Remember this from earlier? Let's talk about measuring success, right? How do we really track the metrics that are going to prove that we've got some ROI here? So your Google Business Profile is going to keep some data under this Performance tab. It's going to track things like searches and views, website clicks, directions, calls. It can also do like messages, bookings, orders, things like that. You go into the back end here, and it's only going to give you 6 months data, unfortunately. I don't know why, but Google doesn't collect like long-term data anymore. So how do we even track like 12-month progress? How do we look at like last year, or how we're doing year over year, or how we're doing over 2 years ago? How do we look at the big term, like the long-term picture? To me, that's super frustrating, but there are definitely some ways to get around it. So this is one of the quotes that we use all the time in my business. What gets measured gets improved. And I think that if you begin measuring some of these things and tracking some of the efforts that you're putting in, ultimately you should be able to figure out what's working and what's not. And I think if you make the right changes, things will grow. So the cheapest method that I've seen of kind of keeping long-term data is just like a basic spreadsheet. So ultimately, like you'd have to go in at the end of every month, collect that data, put it into the spreadsheet, and then do your own analysis, right? Like you'd have to look for the changes that you made and see if it has any effect. Some of this can be like tedious and time consuming, and I understand that. That's why I don't love this method either. I would say a better method is like getting a cooler dashboard. So something where you can like adjust the date range to 6 months or 3 months or a year or 2 years, really get a better, clearer understanding of your return on investment. So if this is something that you're interested in, we can talk at booth 4804. Okay, how are we doing on time? Cool, pretty good. So covered a bunch of stuff today. We're gonna wrap up. Google Business Profile is this free software that allows you to list all this stuff online, right? Helps customers learn about the store, helps them contact you. You can post updates and communicate with customers, especially events, book services, things like that. The Google Business Profile is the primary ranking factor in basically influencing your visibility on Google. So when you get more visibility, you should definitely be getting more customers, hopefully more reviews. That should help you get some more visibility and kickstart this snowballing cycle. Local rankings, determined by a number of factors, but the 4 most important ones are the profile. We've got on-page optimization, your reviews, and then your links. How do we edit it, right? Go to business.google.com, or you can just search My Business on Google if you're already in there. Pretty straightforward. So this was a ton of information, how to optimize it. I would say your 3 main takeaways here: complete your profile, get your reviews, and then do your best to align your Google Business Profile with your website. It's sometimes kind of challenging, but I think if you put your best step forward with some of those primary categories, you'll be in a decent spot. Tips, tricks, and tactics. Some of my favorites are turning on messaging, utilizing QR code, and like I said, doing your best to match the language that Google uses on your website. Try not to overthink things, right? Keep it simple, keep it pretty stupid for people. You'll be all right. Google does provide some data on your Insights tab, but it's really not built for like long-term learning, unfortunately. So I would say like if you are really going to invest in trying to improve your results from a local search standpoint, start tracking your own data and start trying to figure it out yourself. And then we're back full circle. So school's kind of out here. Definitely have some time for questions. And if you want to download the slides, they're here. I'm also at booth 4804. Would love to see you. I've got cards up here. Shoot me an email. Give me some feedback. I'd love to hear from you. We can stay in touch. If you have questions, happy to answer them. And thanks for being here. I appreciate it.